Oi, oi, all right, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, and this is the Doodle Review coming through with a new album to give a spin, chat some fraff about, and assigning oh so important but also completely arbitrary score to. Today it's the turn of Tennessee rockers Kings of Leon. Kings of Leon are a band I've not really ever felt any strong emotions for, and to be honest, I kind of lost interest after their tracks Sex on Fire and You Somebody became as omnipresent as the Killers' Mr. Brightside, but I could never bring myself to completely kind of disown them because I can't deny that they have sporadically put out some brilliant songs that I've really liked in the past. On Call, Closer, The Bucket, Four Kicks, all great tunes. Their album Only by the Night exploded upon the success of those now wedding band staples back in 2008, and I was like 15, 16 and a couple of years into my deep dive into music at that point. So because I'd not really built up any specific passion for the group, even with those few songs I'd like, and kind of leaning into my punk kid attitude, I was very happy to let this kind of mainstream band now go. And I don't think I knowingly heard a new Kings of Leon song from that point until lockdown, when I had nothing but time on my hands and figured I may as well try that 2021 record, When You See Yourself. Considering I'm not actually someone that completely shuts myself off from mainstream outlets, the fact that I'd not heard any material from 2009 to 2021 kind of made me think that the band must have taken a dip in popularity. I could be wrong, but it's always the impression that I've got. Like, people still seem to love the hits, but no one's like falling over themselves to talk about new Kings of Leon material. But anyway, When You See Yourself a couple of years ago, it surprised me. Where I was expecting bland, middle-of-the-road stadium rock songs, I actually heard a pretty sparse, kind of quiet, interesting-sounding album that burned with a very low-level intensity. Nothing blew me away. The record didn't make its way anywhere near my kind of top 50 of the year, but it wasn't bad. And whether it was written with this intention or not, the album really captured the kind of thoughtful isolation of the pandemic era lockdown. In fact, giving it a bit of time since then and revisiting it, I feel like I like it a bit more than I would have given it credit for. Supermarket, Golden Restless Age, Claire and Eddie, there are some really nice songs on that album. It's aged really well. If, like I did, you still have hesitation about Kings of Leon as the Radio X karaoke band, give those songs I just mentioned a listen. You'll probably find yourself quite surprised. With that in mind, I approached this new record with mild curiosity, anticipation you might even call it, especially with a title like Can We Please Have Fun and some PR snippets from Caleb Followhill hinting at some kind of renewed passion. Because When You See Yourself, coolly moody though it was, never really got above a low level kind of hum in terms of energy. Perhaps this record might actually raise the pulse rather than lulling me to a slumber. That's kind of what I was thinking anyway, and I did find some truth to that to a degree. The energy does get turned up on Can We Just Have Fun, but sporadically. It comes on in fits and starts. When the record was on rotation and I typed up my notes, I felt like my observations were kind of veering towards one of three things all of the time. There's the energy of the band's performance, the songwriting, and the production. And I found this album to be at its best when all three of those are aligned, not just all necessarily dialed up to the max, but all complementing each other. That's when it's working at its best. Anyway, the reason it seems so clear on Can We Just Have Fun is because each of these things is very conspicuous, sometimes for the right reasons, but also occasionally for the wrong. On the whole, the energy is kind of all over the place. Some songs kick it up to a high gear. There's a pensive tension release thing going on, Mustang or Hesitation, for example. But then there are others like Nowhere to Run or Actual Daydream, where there's just a flatness to the delivery, like they were all thinking about paying the gas bill or remodeling their downstairs bathroom while sat there in the studio. Production-wise, it's actually an interesting aesthetic they've gone for here. It's definitely retained that intimate intensity of When You See Yourself, but layered in a kind of art rock sensibility over the top. There are weird synths, occasional drum filters and effects, and atmospheric. It sounds good, but it kind of makes me chuckle because in the mid-2000s indie scene, Kings of Leon were kind of seen as the antithesis to this artsy stuff with their raw southern rock vibe. Admittedly, I suppose if you want to split hairs, KOL really fell more in the garage rock revival bucket than the indie scene that blossomed from it, but whatever. I just find it amusing that where they once offered a balance to Interpol or Yeah Yeah Yeahs, they now share more in common with those bands in 2024. Anyway, I don't really have an issue with the production in and of itself. It's a cool tone the band have gone for and they've put forth. It's just where it conflicts with our third aspect, the songwriting. At several points on the record, the production feels like the tail wagging the dog, masking spotty songcraft with distractions or digressions. Don't Stop the Bleeding and Nothing to Do have cool parts, a great falsetto here, a charged up dark guitar riff there, but the production is doing everything it can to shove these elements right up in your face because the songs just kind of aren't that great. Nothing to Do in particular really doesn't flow from section to section. At one point, the production actively tramples probably the best written song here. Split Screen has a nice melody, but a collision of lo-fi meets 80s adult contemporary radio rock ballad production just turned this into an overly cloying, overly earnest pile of mush. It feels like they've shot for a kind of war on drugs type thing, but let too much dry ice into the recording booth. Now look, it's not all bad. Like I said, there are a few tracks where I feel like kind of everyone's on the same page and all of these elements are aligning nicely. M Television is a track where the kind of artsy experimental production really amplifies and elevates a nicely written tune, and energy wise the performance taps that kind of ever popular, apathetic but not kind of feel. And I really like the high energy shuffle of the beat and how they've minimized the chord changes to the kind of these simple jagged single notes. It creates an interesting backdrop for some decent Follow Hill vocals with an unusual but welcome synth tone chucked in there as well. Hesitation Gen is without a doubt the standout on the record. Energy and production and songwriting once again all come aligned here. The huge wailing guitars in the chorus are incredibly cathartic, and I feel kind of guilty about citing this one too heavily because honestly this feels like several Deer Hunter songs blended together. Seriously, the slamming drums and rhythm, the up close vocal production, the arpeggiated chords. If you listen to a track like Deer Hunter's Don't Cry or Never Stop, you'll kind of see what I mean. There's definitely something to the notion of Kings of Leon really trying their hardest to go back and try on all of the old costumes of the bands that were cooler than them back in the heyday. But look, I don't judge. Hesitation Gen is a banger when it was said and done. My final track of note would be the emotive closer Scene, where once again the production is supporting a well-written tune with the energy of people that actually all wanted to kind of be in the same room on that day. All told, I didn't warm to this quite as much as their previous. The production is kind of too conspicuous and often masking flat performances or half-baked songs, but I have to give credit where it's due for a big rock band that's continuing to do something interesting and not go the obvious route, and B, has struck gold with 3 or 4 songs out of 12 here. I'm going to give this a 5.4 and knock it on the head. That's just what I think though. What are you lot saying? Hit me with your thoughts in the comments. Check out some related videos linked in the description, and if you're interested enough to do any or all of that, then you may as well subscribe. Stick around, share some thoughts, show some love, or just have some abuse in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers mate, bye.